Hey, welcome back to Christmas with Karl. This is episode 9, and my name is Daniel Rogers. I am your tour guide on this journey through Karl Barth's amazing chapter in Church Dogmatics, Volume 1, Book 2, on the miracle of Christmas. In the Hendrickson Publishers version, it's on page 172. And today, we're going to be looking at the second half of page 189 on into the page 182. And the theme of our discussion today has to do with the ineffability of the virgin birth, and also how it is a cosine tangent, SOHCAHTOA, right? Oliver, how to heap apples. It is a cosine alongside the resurrection, pointing to the utter, the utter beauty of who God is, and how this is all about God's doing in the world. This is nothing that anybody could have brought about through the flesh, right? So let's hop right in to page 181. I'm going to start at the lower half of the page. According to the dogma, the mystery of revelation is described as the occurrence of a miracle. Miracle taken in the special concrete sense, not in the general one just mentioned above. Again, it's not just like, oh, what a miracle, or an act of God within creation using normal means, like a barren woman giving birth, such as Elizabeth and John the Baptist. Instead, by miracle, this is something that is, in the full sense of the word. He says that these assertions are meant to convey, right, that this is an event occurring in the realm of the creaturely world in the full sense of the word. And so in the unity of the physicality in the unity of both time and space and noetic and ontic reality, that is, in terms of our intellect as well as in terms of our being, in the physical and in the physical. He says this cannot be understood. It cannot be understood out of continuity with the rest that occurs in this world, nor is it in fact grounded in this continuity. So what makes the virgin birth stand out from other miracles is that it is totally beyond anything conceivable, right? The idea of taking bread and making more bread, I mean, that's amazing, but it makes sense. The idea of making someone well makes sense to us. It's speeding up the natural process. Even the idea of calming the sea is not beyond the realm of human imagination, right? But the idea of the creator of the universe, fully God, transcendent, all-powerful, all-knowing, all-loving, all-present, being able to become fully man and retain the fully godness, that's the mystery. That's the miracle of Christmas, okay? And so it is so unusual an event that it may be misunderstood subjectively as an error, illusion, poetry, or symbol, or objectively as a creaturely mystery, unexplained to begin with, but explicable in principle. That is, he says, the virgin birth is neither a misprint, right? It's neither something that has to do with a textual error in transmission or in translation, or rather, nor is it a eventually explainable event. It's not like one day human consciousness will reach to the point where we'll be able to go, oh, that's how the virgin birth worked. It always and forever remains a mystery. And it is properly understood, he says, only as a sign wrought by God himself and by God himself, solely and directly, the sign of the freedom and immediacy, the mystery of his action as a preliminary sign of the coming of his kingdom. So the virgin birth proves, he says, or it points to, it's a sign that moves us towards the realization that the coming of the kingdom, conversion, the reconciliation, the revelation of truth, all these sorts of things, is a sole act of God. It is something that God brings about through his freedom, through his immediacy, right? Through his divine love. The virgin birth is the ultimate sign of this sort of thing. It's what kicks off the whole gospel message. All right. He says this is because in itself it really is nothing other than such a sign. That is, God could have poofed Jesus into existence, 100% God, 100% man, but he goes through this means to prove over and over again to us, as much as we return to contemplate this mystery, that God himself is the initiative, has the initiative, I should say. He's the one who brings about all of this, right? I want to read to you a quote from my bookshelf up here. Let me stand up and get that. It's always good to see me in action, I guess. This is from the Ante-Nicene Fathers, Volume 1. We're going to look here at a quote of Irenaeus is this against the heresies? I want to imagine against heresies, perhaps. Page 453. All right, let's take a look at this quote. He says, "But since an unlooked-for salvation was to be provided for men through the help of God, so also was the unlooked-for birth from a virgin accomplished, God giving the sign, but man not working it out." Okay, isn't that just amazing? The salvation is as equally on God's part as the virgin birth. All right. Okay. Now he goes on to say, "Now it is no accident that for us the virgin birth is paralleled by the miracle of which the Easter witness speaks, the miracle of the empty tomb." That is, again, God and Christ together, Emmanuel, God with us, God in Christ, God in us in God, Christ in us in Christ. These two miracles belong together. They constitute, as it were, a single sign, the special function of which, compared with other signs and wonders of the New Testament witness, is to describe and mark out the existence of Jesus Christ amid the many other existences in human history, as that human historical existence in which God is himself, God is alone, God is directly the subject, the temporal reality of which is not only called forth, created, conditioned, and supported by the eternal reality of God, but is identical with it. So again, the huge emphasis here is that it's God begetting God. It is that God bringing about Jesus into this realm, into the flesh, and it is totally marked off from, it is totally separate from, it is totally apart from the will or the ability of man or the flesh. And so he says it's marked off in regards to its origin. That is, it is free of the arbitrariness which underlies all our existences. Jesus was not one sperm of 1 million that won a race to the egg or something like that. And it is marked off in regards to its goal. It is victorious over the death to which we are all liable. So he says, on the one hand, it totally removes the arbitrariness of most of our births, right? We are, it's basically a game of chance in a sense, right? On the other hand, it marks off any idea that death has the final say. It defeats death. And so he says, only within these limits, which are pretty big limits, right? Is it what it is, and is it correctly understood as the mystery of the revelation of God? That is, this is a demonstration of who God is. And it is to that mystery that these limits point. He who ignores them or wishes them away must see to it that he is not thinking of something quite different than this. So he says, guys, you need to be careful when questioning the virgin birth. Not because there aren't good questions to ask, but because the implications are that it isn't God that's the sole actor, which means it's on us, which means the arbitrariness of our birth and the circumstances of our death do affect our relationship with God. And what he's arguing is, no, in Jesus, the whole story has changed. What has happened in Adam has been retold in Jesus, has been undone in Jesus, and everything has been summed up in him. That's the meaning of this. Let's pull off one more book off the shelf. This one from Gregory of Nyssa. This is the second series in the Nicene and Post-Nicene Fathers, book number 5, the one on the dogmatic treatises. And so we're going to look at page 486 if you have a copy of this book, either online or in your own library. He says, "But in the instance of the incarnation, neither did the birth begin with a weakness, that is, with human input, nor in a weakness did the death terminate," right? "For neither did sensual pleasure go before the birth, nor did corruption follow upon the death." Jesus redeems the entire human experience. He restores the entire human experience to what it is to be. And then he goes on and he says, "For if what is related of Christ were within the bounds of nature, where were the Godhead?" And that's his point. This is about the activity of God in creation. In other words, the virgin birth and the resurrection of Jesus teaches us that we are indeed in very, very, very good hands. And that's the story of Christmas. That is the miracle of Christmas, in fact. It's the wonder, it's the mystery. It's what helps us to have an encounter with the incarnate Christ. And with that, we're going to pause, and we'll come back in the next video.